Presidential election is just 99 days away, and a new CBS News Battleground Tracker poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden leading President Trump by 10 points nationally. But 13% of non-Trump voters say they could still change their mind by Election Day and vote for the president. Joining us now are CBS News political contributors Robby Mook, Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign manager, and Terry Sullivan, who managed Marco Rubio's 2016 campaign. Good morning, gentlemen. Great to see you again. It's been a while. Robby, let me start with you, because Biden leads significantly in most national polls, but the margins really matter here, and especially in the battleground states. And explain why, Robby.
Yeah, well, obviously the Electoral College chooses the president, not the popular vote. And so just looking at, honestly, the popular vote number doesn't really matter at all. But in those battleground states, and a lot of the polls that I've been seeing, and I think your polls reflected this as well, we're seeing that Biden's maybe at 50%, 51%, which is really good. However, there still is room for Trump to catch up. There's, room for him to get to, say, 50-50 or 49-51. That's getting right in that margin of error. So I would not be sitting comfortably if I were the Biden folks right now. And I think activists around the country should still, pedal to the metal, all in on this, because, I think we're a long way out, and the dynamic here could totally change.
Yeah. Terry, as we mentioned, 13% of non-Trump voters say they could change their minds, still vote for the president. If you are the president, what's the demographic you are most concerned about here?
It's senior voters. He outperformed with 55-plus voters 4 years ago, and he needs to do that again, and that's critical for him. And you look at a state like Florida, where his Real Clear Politics average polling is about 7 points behind Biden. That is a huge problem for him. Mm-hmm. He's got to make that up with senior voters. If he doesn't win Florida, this thing's over for him, and that is critical. They've got to focus on seniors, and especially on seniors in Florida.
Robby, the president's handling of the pandemic has been a big issue, cost him a lot of points in the polls. He's shifted his strategy a bit in the last week or so. Can he turn this around in the view of voters, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is still early. As much as it may not feel that way, it is still early. Everything could change. However, I think the president is doing essentially everything he can do right now to help Joe Biden win. And he kind of brought back out his 2016 campaign playbook, which was the bombast and all kinds of assertions that weren't true. He's in charge now. He's accountable. He is the way things are, and he needs to show maturity about how he's managing the situation. He needs to show results. And what's been just mind-boggling to me is he continues to choose these fights that prove not just that he's in a pretty extreme and hateful place, frankly, in terms of trying to bring this country together, but he's totally ignoring the issue that everybody cares about, which is this pandemic. And to your point, he's tried a few things here or there, but telling us to wear masks. But for example, he's also sending federal officials and stoking division in American cities. And so I think it's going to be very hard for him unless he gets his act together. But there is still time. And that's why I've been saying to Democrats, we can't let up here. There's still room for this race to tighten up.
Terry, the president has continued to criticize the process of mail-in voting, say that it could rig the election. Could that strategy that he's using in reference to that actually backfire on him? And if so, why?
Yeah, absolutely. Back to Florida again. I mean, look, Republicans do an amazing job every election cycle, especially in presidential election cycles, on the absentee balloting in early voting in Florida. They outperform Democrats consistently here. So doing anything to suppress that only hurts Republicans in a key state like Florida. And so, that is a real problem for him. But one thing I will say is I disagree with Robby. Look, the only path that Donald Trump has forward to win, and it's a real path, but is to make this race about Joe Biden. As long as this race is about the pandemic or about Donald Trump, he can't control the pandemic. And more importantly, he absolutely can't control Donald Trump. So what he can do is drive his message on Joe Biden and make this a referendum on Joe Biden, not on Donald Trump and his presidency.
Robby, how significant is Joe Biden's VP pick, and who would you choose?
Oh, well, I definitely think it's a bit more important than it's been in the past, because I think people do see this as a passing of the torch in a way for the party. And in a race where Biden's not able to go out and campaign much, this is a very significant event. That said, I do think it's important for us always to keep in mind people vote for the top of the ticket, not the number two. Look, I love the options that I'm hearing. You know, everybody from someone like Susan Rice, who has tremendous foreign policy experience, to Karen Bass, who, you know, I've worked with in the House of Representatives, Kamala Harris, also from California. Those are just some of the names. I think any of these folks are going to be great. But again, we shouldn't see that somehow as a replacement for Biden. This is his campaign, his message. You know, he's going to need to go earn it.
Okay, you love him also, but who would you pick, Robby?
Well, I think Susan Rice is really interesting. I think she has that foreign policy experience. I think Biden spent a lot of time with her in that place. I believe there's a lot of trust between those two. So I think that's a great choice. But you know, when I was talking to Hillary about this back in 2016, what matters at the end of the day is that trust between these two people. No. He needs to believe that she's ready to be president of the United States. So that's what really matters here.
All right, Robby, Mook, Terry Sullivan, thank you both. Great to see you.